This is the McWaters Effect. I'm your host, Matt, and today we're going to be talking about critical race theory and how it's left colleges and went into public schools and even in the workplace. Now, critical race theory actually has its origins from the 1970s with legal scholars like Alan Freeman and Kimberly Crenshaw and Cheryl Harris, who actually thought of the ideology and started teaching and implementing it into colleges in the late 1970s to the 1980s. After the 1980s, it became more mainstream and people started talking about it more. Now, in 2020, President Donald Trump put an executive order making it illegal to actually teach in this criteria in public schools, colleges, and including into workplaces. And the reason he made it illegal is because he saw it as detrimental to society as well as being racist. But after Donald Trump lost the election and he left the office and Biden came in office, Biden repealed that executive order, making it where it would be okay to actually teach this stuff in schools as well as in workplaces. Now, the chart I am showing you right now is the 8 white identities. First, and the red is white supremacists, and all the way in the green is white abolitionists. Now here's a chart that shows you what each identity means. White supremacist means clearly marked white society that preserves names and values white superiority. And number 8 is white abolitionist. Challenges institutions, dismantles whiteness, and not allowing whiteness to reassert itself. Now obviously everything else in between those is something in the middle. I got a question. How is this not racist? You're identifying a race to everybody being the same. You're identifying that all white people are racist at birth, pretty much, with this ideology. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is a video from the Bill Maher show where he had Megyn Kelly on. And they're talking about how she had to take her kids out of schools because they're teaching them this nonsense and other stuff that has to do with social justice shit. And how she's not ready for her and her kids to be called white supremacist.
This is what I've heard from parents, and these are all liberal, by the way, people,
of course,
who say, my kids are not ready to be told they're white supremacists.
That's right. And on this,
I'm not ready to be told.
Can I tell you, Bill, on this, we're not left and right, we're not black and white. This is a question of reason and unreason.
But you talked about this letter that the school put out.
So this is on the race issue.
Can I read some of the things that are from this letter,
Yep.
Unless people think I'm losing my mind? There's a killer cop sitting in every school where white children learn. White children are left unchecked and unbothered in their homes, one sentence starts. Well, how old do you have to be before you can just be unchecked and unbothered?
Right.
You know, what age do you get bothered? I'm tired of white people reveling in their state-sanctioned depravity, snuffing out black life with no consequences. Go reform white kids. You know, it bothers me so much that I have to be on this side of this issue.
Yeah.
Because I've always been a civil rights advocate.
Yep.
You know, and don't make me Tucker Carlson. You're the fucking nuts. This is insane. Yep. As black bodies drop like flies around us by violent white hands, there is racist problems in this country. But this is hyperbole. Mm. And this is making people crazy.
Yeah.
And children, this is not the way we get to the promised land.
Absolutely not. It's divisive, it's racist, and it's having exactly the opposite effect of the one they intend. And it is not that all the black people in our school or other schools are in favor of this kind of talk. My friend Coleman Hughes, who's 24, he's a liberal, he was a Biden voter, sure. You know Coleman. He's been speaking out about this as a black man saying, how dare you presume to know how I feel? To try to, it's pejorative to him. Like, the whites are the ones who understand, who are arrogant and in control and work hard, right? These are all the terms now associated with white supremacy. And then the white people feel bad and feel judged because they're told they're white supremacists because of a pigmentation over which they have no control. It's so divisive and counterproductive. And it wasn't just our school in New York. And it's not just New York. All over New York privates, New York publics, there was no place to move them in New York to get away from this. So it wasn't just our school. There's a public school on the Upper East Side of Manhattan that just got in the news because they gave out this panoply of 8 categories into which all white people fall. And on the one end is white supremacist, and on the other end is it was white trader, basically, white abolitionist. And they're really encouraging you to be more of a white trader. It's like everybody gets divided into oppressed or oppressor, right? On racial identity, on sexual identity. Cupertino, California, they did the same thing. They took 8 and 9-year-olds and made them deconstruct their racial and sexual identity to figure out whether they were an oppressor or the oppressed. 8-year-olds, right? I mean, this is really damaging. And as you get older, what the studies show is these sort of implicit biased education efforts bring out racism. So if somebody's having racist thoughts in the back of their head, it brings it to the frontal lobe, and more people act on their latent racism than they otherwise would have.
You know what kills me after watching that video? How someone as far left as Bill Maher realizes this shit is crazy. You cannot be calling one race, everybody across the board, racist. And how we're the reason that people of different skin tones are suppressed. That's complete bullshit. Is Oprah oppressed? No. Oprah is a billionaire. You're telling me that people from Appalachia that came and have enough money to pay for their water bill so they could flush your toilet oppresses someone like Oprah? This is not about race. This is more about social economic situations, not about race. Poor people of color and poor people that are white are on the same level when it comes to economic disparity. Now, my opinion of what is contributing to this is fatherless homes. Hell, that has nothing to do with race. All races are having that issue. Matter of fact, marriages are going down by 25% across the board. That's all races. Now they're bringing this shit out into the workplace. Coca-Cola asks its workers to be less white to fight racism. What? Why in the hell would you ask someone to be less their skin tone? I mean, you don't see people asking, hey, I need you to be less black. That's dumber than hell. It's racist as well, saying something like that. And here's a tweet from a lefty moment. Oh, he has a little Kim Jong-il picture out there and there. That's pretty funny. This was Coca-Cola's diversity training program. Try to be less white. To be less white is to be less oppressive, be less arrogant, to be less certain, to be less defensive, to be less ignorant, and to be more humble. Shouldn't all races try to achieve this or strive for it? So let me get this straight. Not only are you going to school and getting indoctrinated with this crap, you're going to work too? Where are you going to be safe at? Hell, you see it all over damn TV. You see it out there in public even. It's getting ridiculous. I would like someone to comment to me in the comments below and tell me how in the hell is this not racism? How's not saying that a whole group of people are white supremacists? How's that not racist? Tell me, it's because 70% of the population of the United States is white? You tell me the majority can't have people being racist towards them? Well, that's not true. That's bullshit. We know that throughout history. Now, here's a new story here. Asian Americans emerging as a strong voice against critical race theory. Now, the group of Asians that are fighting critical race theory is the CACAGNY. They are rejecting critical race theory, calling it a hateful, manipulative fraud to the American people. Now, according to CRT victimization ledgers, that all whites are oppressors and all non-whites are the oppressed. It is argued that unequal economic outcome among different races in the U.S. results from white power or white privilege. Yeah, you know what I got to say to that? Tell Obama that. Tell Oprah Winfrey that. Tell some of these African Americans that are movie stars that are millionaires. Tell them that shit. They're part of the 1%, just like the Republicans and Democrats in the political arena. They're no different. I mean, am I the only one that thinks this shit is crazy? I mean, if you look at statistics, the people that make the most money in the United States are Indian Americans. And the fact is, this is not the only statistics that go against this narrative as well. The Department of Labor statistics found that Asian women have surpassed white men in earnings. And what to help these women? Education, stable marriages, and hard work. And now they're being criticized for this and attacked that these are all white values. and that any person of color who values these values are acting white. This actually explains why the African American community does not accept people like Thomas Sowell or Clarence Thomas. They see them as Uncle Toms because they act like they're white, which I don't even know what that means, acting like you're white. And that's inherently racist there. I'll be quite honest with you what I'm thinking of this. This has more in common with people from the Klan would think. Matter of fact, I don't even believe the Klan ever left the Democrat Party. They just morphed into progressives and the far left. And it's people like that are actually thinking of this shit like this. They're also big contributors of the idea of being anti-racist. You know what anti-racist means? It means the only way you can fix the past of racism is by begetting more racism now. Anyone with a thought in their head would say that don't even make any damn sense. That ain't how you do it. First thing you gotta do is like Morgan Freeman said when he was on an interview on Piers Morgan. Stop talking about it. Now don't get me wrong, do I think there's racism in the United States? There's some. The problem is we're segregating ourselves. Not talking to each other, whether you're left or right, or not talking to each other, whether you're Hispanic or white, Hispanic or black or Hispanic. You know, whatever it might be. What we need to do is start talking to each other and understanding each other's differences, and that would make the country better. But for some reason in the left-wing media, for political purposes, they don't want that to happen. They want people to be segregated from each other. They want people to think different from each other, or at least not even talk about the differences, in order to win elections. That's all this is about. That's why most American Asians are against critical race theory. They, especially if they're from China or North Korea, they've seen this used back in the early 60s, late 70s, whenever China became communist. Except instead of it being a race issue, it was a landowner issue. If you own land, you were the enemy. In this situation, if you're white, you are the enemy. Or if you're a Republican, you're the enemy. Okay, guys, this is the end of my rant. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, comment below. Let me know. If you didn't, comment below anyway. Let me know what I could do different. Let me know about what other topics you want me to talk about. And please hit subscribe and hit like. It helps the channel grow. Peace.